Good afternoon. Welcome to this Zinemaldia Meetings. And we can see already in some faces that we're starting to get tired, but despite tiredness, we are delighted to come here to talk about cinema, which is what we like the most. We have a French film director, and we have another crew that is coming from nearby, but have a very thrilling project. So before we start talking with them, because I see you very dull, please welcome them with a warm applause. How are you? Welcome. Well, our first guest today is Bertrand Monello. He has presented already several films here at the festival, and Zombie Child is a great film, which is going to be presented in the Zabaltegui section this afternoon, and he's leaving tomorrow, so we couldn't have the interview after watching the film. So this interview is going to be an aperitif, an appetizer for you. Bertrand, what can we expect in Zombie Child? What can we expect? Well, we are going to find very different things. These are people that live together, and the first thing, the origin of zombies, is the first thing that we are going to see. Zombies are a figure that is very well known in cinema, in American cinema, but also in European cinema. And I'm going to talk, in this film I talked about the origin of zombies, and therefore I went to Haiti, and I talked about a real zombie, someone that existed, because zombies do exist in Haiti, and they belong to their culture and to their collective unconsciousness. So you know what a zombie is. A zombie is one person that passes away and cannot go neither to hell nor to heaven and stays on earth. In Haiti, there is a powder that allows you to become lethargic, and you can be declared, if you take it, you can be declared dead, being alive, and this person can be buried, but in the night they go out of the tomb, and they are in a state that it's neither death nor life, and they become slaves. And this allowed me as well to talk and reflect on slavery in Haiti, and I also talk about the colonial relationship between Haiti and France. There is another part of the film that takes place in France, because I needed a French point of view. I couldn't arrive at Haiti as a Frenchman and say I want to talk about voodoo and zombies. So there is another part of the film that takes place at Légion d'honneur boarding school. That means I deal with the elite in France, and I try to put these two very simple elements together, joining them to give an outcome that is politically more difficult, more complex. So you have been using fantastic cinema codes to approach political and social issues. Yes, you are right. There are different levels in the film. There is one part that is a little bit like an adolescent movie, a teenagers movie. It's a gender movie, but there are other parts that are almost documentary. So I try to use very simple stories and use these different types of films to talk about politics. Let's see some images.
Si vous êtes ici, c'est que l'un de vos parents est titulaire de la Légion d'honneur. Ne l'oubliez pas.
J'ai rencontré une fille qui vient d'arriver. Elle s'appelle Mélissa. Elle est un peu spéciale, mais on aime les mêmes films d'horreur, les mêmes livres. J'aimerais bien qu'on la recrute dans la sororité. Pour faire partie de la sororité, tu dois nous raconter quelque chose d'hyper personnel, tu vois. J'habite avec ma tante. Elle est mon beau. C'est quoi mon beau? Danseuse? Non, c'est mon beau. Mon grand-père est mort en 1962. Il a été victime de zombification. Il s'est enfui. Il a erré.
Ça fait des bruits hyper chelous, ça.
Ah ouais? Je suis une amie de Mélissa. Vous faites du vaudou, vous pouvez m'aider à vivre.
Il faut pas prendre ça à la légère.
Vaya pintaza que tiene, ¿no? La peli.
So the film looks really nice. The Haitian part of the film has been shot in Haiti, and I imagine that it's a place where it's difficult to shoot. It's a different culture, and then there are several practical problems, I suppose. Yes, from the moment when I started talking about the project, I was very clear that I needed to shoot there in Haiti. And I think it was an ethical decision to be there. And it was very difficult out of three reasons. The first one is that I am a white, obviously, and when, as a white man, you arrive there in Haiti, all black persons are very, they don't trust you, really. And they don't know what it's about in the project, and it's very difficult to get them to trust you. The second one is, well, when you explain to them what it is about, I tell them that I'm not trying to appropriate their culture, that I'm going to be very respectful from it. The second problem is that they think it is a very intellectual approach. And this second difficulty is because this country is one of the poorest in the world, and logistics don't exist there at all. It's very difficult to find practical things. There are no roads practically. It's very, very complicated, and it's very risky as well, very dangerous. And the third one is that precisely that Haiti is going through a very violent phase at the moment. And there are so many people that have disappeared, that went to one place and never came back. And it's of course, it was very difficult to shoot there. But I think a big part of the interest of this film lies precisely in this difficulty. So I heard you talking about the film, and what drew my attention was that there are a lot of Haitian actors, and they naturally knew how to act as a zombie because it belongs to their culture. Yes, of course, I didn't need to direct them practically, because for them it's natural. They know how to act if they are playing a zombie. And they grew up with a lot of zombie tales and stories, and this part that is a little bit more like a documentary film, it helped me a lot to have their point of view. So there is one part in Haiti and one part in France, in a boarding school, in a teenager boarding school. And you're working with teenagers, again, people that are around 19, 20. You did it in previous films. And I would like to know what is so interesting for you in this age. Well, I try to reflect. I love teenagers because at this age, you think that you have a lot of certainties, but there are a lot of questions open yet, and you don't know exactly, and there is an energy that is very special, and they are driven by music, and I think it's a very good place to be and to research things, to find out about things and then I think that the adolescence is a very beautiful moment in life because you don't know what is going to happen, and you have the family around you. And then I decided to go to the boarding school because I didn't want to show parents, and I didn't know about this specific Legion d'Honneur boarding school, which was founded by Napoleon himself. And so I found it very interesting because I was also interested in the relationship between Napoleon and Haiti. Have you watched a lot of zombie movies to include these references in your film, or did you avoid them just to have a fresh start? There is a book that talks about Haiti and its history, and zombies are there included. And I read that book, and 4 years later, there was the first Hollywood zombie movie, but it was still a zombie coming from Haiti. And then there is the Turner movie from the 40s, and zombies are still from Haiti, and then it disappears in cinema. And then we get the other type of zombie that is now in our images and in our brains. So the film that I revisited was Turner's film. The other films are not so interesting for me. You are also a musician, and you have composed the music for the film. I think that your way to compose is very particular. You are composing the songs even before you edit the film, and you edit the film you cut the film according to the music. I would like to know a little bit more about this. Yes. Before I edit the film and before I even shoot the film, I start composing the music. And I play the music, I go to the studio, I try things out, I'm looking for a sound, for a tone. And once this is finished and once the scenery is finished, I stop composing. Because I think that the location is telling something, the scenery is telling something, and the music is telling something about the story as well. They tell their own story. And this is a strategy that I use. I start writing the music and the scenery, and then I adapt dialogues or everything that is in the script to those elements. Another thing that I found very interesting is that when you shoot, the time span before you, from the moment when you started shooting to you presented the film was very, very fast. Was it easy? Yes, it was kind of easy. It was not difficult. I wanted to shoot a quick film, and we started in March and we finished in October. And I had to find out funding, but everything was thought and planned according to a certain coherence. And that's not difficult. What is difficult is to start up a $3 million production. That's very complicated because you have to take a lot of things into account. But when you're faithful to this kind of coherence, which was to shoot rapidly, then I think this was my less expensive film from all, because the planning phase was really long and accurate. So I can see that you think with a producer's mentality. It's a dream for a producer working with you. Well, probably, I don't know. You should ask my producer. So you're leaving tomorrow and you present the film this afternoon, and then you're going to New York, and I think this film is having a great success. You are presenting it in a lot of festivals. So where have you presented the film? Well, it is true that I had the opportunity to show the film in Cannes, and I was very happy to see that people coming from other countries really liked it, and because one of my fears was to know if our film was like very local, and then I have come to Spain, and I see that the public from all the countries really can follow the film and understand it and like it. And this is amazing. And what I like the most is after the film had success in France, it's been invited all over the place to the places, and it's having success in other places as well. So it's not a very commercial film, so I didn't necessarily know if how it could be welcomed. And I don't know how long will it be shown all around the world, because this depends on platforms and different distribution companies, etc. But I'm very happy to see that the film has been welcomed in different festivals. So enjoy this festival turmoil. I will watch the film this afternoon because I didn't have the opportunity to see it first, and be sure that I will be in the first row watching the film. Thank you.
Merci.
Well, our second stop is very nearby, very close by. We know the crew very well. Sorry, I have forgotten my notes. So we are here with the crew of Jordi's Letters. The film director is Maider Fernández Iriarte, she's here, and we also have Virginia García del Pino, who was in charge of editing, and we have Lady Apellaniz López here as a producer, who we already know. Lady was working at the festival very recently, and so we have met each other, and now she's a producer, she's someone important now. And you were at the festival with me once. Yes, you're right. I had forgotten about it. You're right. So these three women are friends of us. So you're presenting your film at home. And how is it? How is the experience? I was watching the film yesterday, and it was impressive for me. It was very moving. And I don't know, aren't you really overwhelmed about the welcome? Well, I'm very, very happy. I was born here, and Virginia visits this city very often, so we are delighted to be here and to present the film here in the Cursal 2. It was full, and it was welcomed, so we are very happy. Later, the other day, you also produced the film that we saw yesterday, the short film. So for you, it's very important to be here because you are producing two different films. This is wonderful. Well, I have already gotten used to it, but nevertheless to present the films in San Sebastian, not just because it's my home and because it's a place where I've been working for 20 years, it's also because I think San Sebastian is a wonderful platform to show the type of films that we do. We presented the short film in Berlin as well, and we had other offers to present the film in other places in Spain, but we refused because we wanted to present this film, Jordi's Letters, here in San Sebastian. And despite presenting it here, there are several points that I think they are very important. I think it's very important that a woman from San Sebastian is competing in the San Sebastian Film Festival in the new directors section. I think this is wonderful. And then the film, organically, it made sense that the film started here in San Sebastian. Maider participated in Ikus Mira Berriak. She has practically learned how to edit here in San Sebastian. So I think it was very natural. Our top expectation was to be able to present the film here in San Sebastian. We thought that if the film was invited to participate in the new directors section, we had done it right. So we are proud of it. This is the result of hard work and of trying to do things in the right way. And we are very happy the crew was very committed and very good. And we have other projects that we will shoot all together. Virginia's cousin is a member of the crew as well. So we are working. Maider, Jordi's letters is the story of a friendship, the friendship between you and Jordi. Jordi is a man with cerebral palsy, and I want to know what was your relationship. But at the beginning, it all started because I went to study a master course in Barcelona, and to enter, you need to present a project. And I had no clear idea of what to present there. And suddenly I felt the urge of shooting something about Lourdes, about the sanctuary in Lourdes. And so I started researching. I met a group of pilgrims that regularly visit the sanctuary of Lourdes. And I met Jordi there, and I started going with Jordi everywhere. So I started having a clear idea of what was the point of view, and then I shot the film. Was it difficult to get him to trust you? Not really. In the end, when you go around with one person and you accompany this person everywhere and you show yourself and you show that your intentions are pure and not dark and that you trust him and that you take care of him, then I think it's natural that friendship arises. I was very open to him, and I offered him my friendship as well, and I persevere as well. Let's see some images of the film. I think it's the very beginning of the film, probably.
Dime. Sí. ¿Todo? Ir. Al. Aló. Necesito ir a Lourdes.
You were saying before that the most important thing is the original intention, and your intention was to shoot a documentary film based on observation, but suddenly you forget about this idea, and Jordi becomes a character, and you fictionalize the relationship. When did you decide that you have to be part of the documentary film and be part of this relationship? Well, Virginia was very important for me when I tried to take this decision, because once you start a project, you settle. You set some foundations, and I wrote them down, and this was my proposal. And nevertheless, you start playing the game, and Virginia told me that I needed to be present, that I needed to be part of the film, because I was already there. I'm sorry about my harsh voice. It's because we had a karaoke party yesterday, and I have a very sore throat. And since I don't need to sing, I hope you don't mind. So I was watching the material that she had already shot, and I just tried to highlight what was very good on it. It is her first feature film, but she's very intuitive. She has a very intuitive way of telling things. She does it in a very easy way. She picks up things and she tells them in a very simple way, in a very natural way. And what I was surprised about was that Jordi is a very interesting character, of course, but there was something missing, and I think it was her, because I don't know many people that would treat Jordi the way she treated him. And Jordi is a man who is very isolated because he cannot communicate properly. And so he is visited by his mother, his father, and some relatives, but he has no opportunity of meeting people outside his family cycle. And suddenly, what I thought that it was hallucinating, was incredible, is Maider in his life, who is a woman who treats him so naturally without any strange behavior. And so I suggested her that this beautiful relationship should be told. Well, in fact, you become friends in the end, and this is the story of a friendship in film. There is a dramatic arc that is very important because the story grows little by little. Yes, of course, the process was exactly like that. I used the camera to focus on his hand when he was trying to speak, showing the signs, and we start knowing each other better because we didn't meet before. And the way I pose the questions evolves in time. So at the beginning, I start asking about his relationship with faith, but then I evolved to friendship and I start asking about his personal life, his friends or family and relatives, and his relationship with his mother and with his father. And I let him guide me to get closer to him. So in the end, what is the main character in the film or the main story is a story of this friendship. In the scenes in which you appear there with Jordi, I think you let the camera on. Yes, I used to bring the camera with a stand, and I put a microphone on my clothes, and I let the camera roll. And we were just behaving not naturally. I just chose the focus and the distance. And I started asking him, posing questions, which I prepared in advance, of course. I knew what I wanted him to talk about and what was the way I wanted to enter into his world. And I just set up the camera and let it there in a certain frame. So the film at the beginning is very strange because we don't know what it is about and we don't know how Jordi expresses himself. And in the end, you really convey all those feelings. It's amazing. I was very, very moved, and it was surprising for me because how is it possible that I can understand Jordi? How can I understand his mimic and his movements with the hand? This is very interesting in the film for me. Sometimes the public can identify with him, but also can identify with me. And one of my roles is to try and decipher Jordi's code. And sometimes it's the public who really gets to decipher it before me even, because you can see in the film that I make mistakes as well. And I think this is a very nice dynamic in the film, that the public can identify with different moments in different characters. There is another character that I find very interesting, which is the mother. The mother is devoted to Jordi, and I suppose that you also had to win her trust as well, not just Jordi's. Yes, of course. You had to be able to walk in her shoes. It's an old woman that has been taking care of his son for 51 years, and he is very devoted to protect him and to care for him, and it was complicated to get her to accept me, of course. She was divided because she saw how her son really trusted me and was really open towards me, and that was difficult for her to accept. So I tried to meet her and to ask for permission, and she said yes and no to different things. I was working with both of them together at home, and then she told me just 5 minutes and then you have to leave. It was complicated, but I could understand her very, very well, because I'm just a stranger, and a stranger that invades their home with a camera. And so I have to accept that she has to play a role. Jordi is very conscious about how difficult he is and how much work it means for his parents, and so he lives an internal drama as well. It is very interesting. For us, it was very interesting to show the mother as well, because she's a very strong woman, and we wanted to show her situation as well. Because if we only shoot in the hospital or in, well, I'm revealing the film. Well, don't worry, you can tell details about the film because the film is about emotion. But you decided not to show much about the father. Why is it? Is it because mothers in that generation really assume the whole role of caring? Or yes, the mother is taking care of the father, is taking care of the brother. The brother is not shown, but you know that he is there. It's a kind of that there is some scenes that are kind of family portraits. And she is taking care of everybody. She is the pillar that supports the whole family. And I liked a lot how Maider was very respectful. And you found the right distance to tell things. You are in a close distance, but at the same time, you leave space for them to be. And I suppose the mother watched the film. What was her opinion? Well, she liked it, but she's very exigent with herself. And then she told me, I'm not happy with me because I never answer to your questions, and I'm like very reserved and very, very shut down. And then I told her to calm down. I told her that I thought that the film was going to be very well welcomed. So I think she liked it. But, you know, in the end, everyone has their own problems, and she is very exigent towards herself. She couldn't come to the festival out of practical reasons, I heard. Yes, of course. She has to take care of Jordi and of the father, who is now feeling worse than he was during the film. And they couldn't really, it had been a luxury that they could not afford to come to the festival. And I was here very busy. I couldn't have spent time with him. So we decided not to bring him along. This is a film of a very deep friendship. I suppose that you're still friends with him. Of course, the level of friendship now is different. What linked us when we were shooting was this friendship that was arising, but also that we were shooting a film together, and you can't forget about that. And nowadays, we meet each other now and then, not as frequently as before, but this is friendship as well. Friendships evolved in time. They don't stay the same. So sometimes we meet up for a cake or whatever, or for walking. And I would like to know something about this new project that you mentioned that you have with the same crew. Hello again. I have written a script on a love pretender. Albert Caballo is a man that was making love to women online, making them. It's a scammer. He was making women fell in love with him, and then he asked money from them. This is the problem of scammers, that they don't give the money back. Yes, and then he was brought before court, but he was absolved because to be considered a scam, the amount of money had to be higher. And I think Leire is going to produce it. but we are still starting. I'm still script writing. So let's see if we have funding, and let's see, etc. So maybe you can ask the scammer to find women who can give money for the film. And what are your next projects, Maider? I suppose that maybe you want to continue in this line of work, like with the film in Jordi, or not? I am working on a short film at the moment that is going to be produced by Leire as well, and at the moment we're at a crossroads. We don't know exactly how to continue. It deals with a medical doctor who is a member of the Opus Dei, and he belongs to the doctors' committee, medical doctors' committee that certifies miracles in Lourdes, in the sanctuary of Lourdes for the Vatican. So I'm interested in telling how the Vatican and how a religion appropriates science for their purposes, and this is the idea. And another problem is that this medical doctor we were shooting about, he has now been ordained, and now he's a priest. And so he's like Batman. He's wearing now a dark suit. The project is called the priest doctor, or we can call and the other project is called the scam of love. And I'm very happy because I can produce these two brilliant women. So I think they are the most brilliant women I know, and so I'm very, very happy to be able to produce these two projects. Maybe it is because I don't have many friends, and these are the most brilliant women I know. No, this was a joke. These two women are very precise. They are capable of seeing things that are very subtle. They are able to do some criticism, but not in a very harmful way. They can offer very deep reflections on society, but that don't put back the spectator. And this is something I like a lot. This is the type of cinema I want to produce. Apart from the fact that I really like to working with women, I think this is the moment. This is our moment. I think everything is in favor of us working together, and we have to establish our grounds in the cinema world so that we are able to do projects same as men. And I am very invested in producing films that I would wish to see on screen. And we are analyzing very deeply the society in which we live, and I think these two projects follow the same line. And this brings me a lot of pleasure and satisfaction to walk along the way with them and to push forward these two beautiful projects. So we will wait here to see these projects in the future at the festival. And meanwhile, I invite you to watch this miracle of film that I like a lot because it's full of sensitivity. Thank you very much for coming. The film plays at 8, and your film is at 10, so you can watch both of them. You can watch the 8 o'clock film with us and the 10 o'clock film with him. Thank you very much.